SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Does that tree have you worried? Want to get it cut down before the next storm? You need to call Max Tree Service and Land Management for your free estimate. Don't wait till it's too late. Call us today at 601-695-1717 or check us out on Facebook. Max Tree Service.
And now, Sports.
Get ready, sports fans. It's time for Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming worldwide on the SuperTalk Mississippi app and on your Amazon Alexa devices. Chasing Foul Balls, your weekly source for all the sports news and interviews important to Southwest Mississippi. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank. And now, here's your host, Robbie Hamilton.
Good Friday morning, everybody, and welcome to Chasing Foul Balls. Glad to be back with you after a week off. Hope everybody had a very good Thanksgiving Day. Our guest today on Chasing Foul Balls, Stephen Willis, the host of Locked On Ole Miss up in Oxford. It ought to be interesting to see what he has to say about the Kiffin affair and see what happens there. With me in the studio this morning, to my right, the young gun himself, Mr. Wes Nunnery. How are you?
Doing glorious this morning, Robbie. Good to be with y'all.
Yeah, dressed up in his dressed-up overalls to my left, TP himself, Mr. Richard Hay.
Good morning, everybody.
Is that your dressed-up overalls?
Yeah, these are the clean ones, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Farm fashionable right there, buddy.
Best piece of clothing ever invented.
We may have to start our own clothing line. Me and you, him. It's amazing what you can see in the studio.
He would be the signature collection in the line.
If you only had vision in here, you could see a lot of stuff.
There's not a whole lot to model in a pair of overalls.
Let's get started. We got a lot to talk about this morning. First of all, congratulations to Darian Dorsey and the Brookhaven Panthers. They upset West Point 31-19 yesterday and win the 5A state championship, guys. That may be the upset of the 2020s right there.
I tell you what, that was a tale of two halves for Brookhaven. There wasn't a lot that went right in the first half, and then they stormed back and got it in the second half. Well done by Brookhaven.
To think that a team that only gave up 21 points one other time in the year against Tupelo, and then lost, though, that they gave up 21 points and a half. And I'm talking about West Point. They've been the number one ranked team in 5A all year.
Number one ranked team overall.
And it just, when I saw the halftime score, I checked out. I didn't see it. And when I saw it this morning, to say I was surprised would be an understatement. Hats off to Brookhaven for them getting it done against, as Robbie said, maybe the best team in the whole state all year.
Pictures and recaps of the game on Chasing Foul Balls Facebook page, Go there. A lot of stuff you may want to take a look at there. Some interesting things. Also, we got one more today, this afternoon at 4 o'clock up at Starkville. Columbia and Kosciuszko will play for the 4A state championship. Coach Bilderback and the Wildcats taking on Kosciuszko, the Whippets. That ought to be a good one.
Ought to be. I like Columbia in that matchup, though. I got to tell you.
I like the Cats, too.
I think the South may return to high school football this year. May win a few of these championships back to the North had been holding on to for a while, so it would be fun to see. A couple other things, not only in public school, private schools last week when we were gone. Park Lane wins back-to-back state championships for Coach Ron Rushin. That's a big feat. Centerville Academy wins the 2A state championship. Bill Hurst, his 10th state title as a head coach at Brookhaven Academy, was the runner-up in 3A. So a lot of winning football being played here in Southwest Mississippi.
Well, Robbie, it's amazing how we've been around this. All of us sitting in here have seen it for years, and the ebb and flow at times. You know, teams will be down for a while, then they'll come back and win. Areas of the state will be, there's the staples, like we talked about, Louisville, West Point, the Tupelos, Akosia. Centerville is one of those teams. Park Lane, as we know, for years they went through some struggle, but all of a sudden, it's amazing how it just the ebb and flow of it. But yeah, Southwest Mississippi and South Mississippi in general is is really going to do well this year.
Yeah, Centerville, it's just amazing what a small school in Centerville has been able to accomplish over these years. And they've had very few down years along the way. It's always just wash, rinse, and repeat, and go get another one. It is really an interesting case study of what they do down there.
Well, we might as well jump in the big hole that's out there we need to jump into. I will give you a shot for what you think it is. We'll go somewhere else with it. Mr. Kiffin, leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU. Your thoughts? We'll start with the young version, the young gun. See what he has to say.
My thoughts is it must be nice to be making enough money that you can get on a podium in front of the world and act like you don't know what you're making. That's my thoughts.
The old version. Richard?
I don't know where to begin, Robbie. It's amazing how you can go through a time at the end of the season when a lot of things are on the line, but the whole time you're saying, you're not saying anything, but everybody knows what's going on. And then you make it act like, oh, no, well, I didn't do this, no, I'm going down there. I'm just like, every day was a different comedy routine as far as I'm concerned. But we all knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when and who.
Well, according to all the experts who live up in the Oxford area, when I say expert, podcast people and website people and all that, Kiffin had told LSU 3 weeks before the Egg Bowl that he was coming to LSU. So all this stories about, oh, man, I just don't know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do, he had already told LSU he's coming.
Well, and before that, I don't know how much truth there is to this. It's hard to believe everything you see out there these days, but there was a report that came out that even way back before the thing started with LSU, he supposedly signed a term sheet with Florida, which is not binding. But, so he knew he was gone well before any of this unfolded.
But it's amazing how quickly the Florida stuff got squashed when Florida made interest that they were talking with John Summerall. All of a sudden, it was like now LSU's I'm on fire with there. And then, as you said, the week leading up to it, all the just, no, I really haven't made a decision. I'm still praying over it and all this kind of. And you're sitting there like, okay, I guess you could be praying over how you're going to move down there.
Yeah, but let the plane land.
Yeah, hope it gets off the ground and lands. And I said, but other than that, I don't know what you're praying about.
And to top it all off, guys, evidently he didn't even own the dog.
Well, that was the next question, but since you brought that up.
The dog's probably better off.
The dog looks to be staying in Oxford. But now Kiffin says he may get the dog. Of course, he hadn't had the dog in 2 years, so he'd have to reintroduce himself.
The dog was only in the picture to add persona to his
no joke.
Glorious.
All right, this question here. Was Kiffin to an Ole Miss the way it happened, was that relatable to what Deion did at Jackson State?
I'm going to say no. Because
why?
Deion, he was moving up how can I say this? He was definitely moving up a level. It wasn't a lateral move within his own
several
conference.
levels moved up.
Yeah. That's what makes this sting so bad, is you're going to your in-conference rival right down the road.
The Deion thing, everybody knew when he went there, that was to get his foot in the door and show that he could, and plus he could control a lot of things. He had 2 or 3 of the best players in the country that came with him. His son was the quarterback, who he'd quarterbacked all his life. Travis Hunter was with him. And everybody knew if they won for a year or two, some big Power 5 school would say, hey, come coach for us. And once he, that we knew that. And Jackson State was just happy to be along for the ride for 2 or 3 years. So I think it's completely different.
When you look at the situation, were you surprised when Charlie Weiss Jr. decided to come back to Ole Miss to be the offensive coordinator for the playoff?
I was, and honestly, Robbie, I don't really understand that. I understand not wanting Kiffin to be there for all the reasons of recruiting the roster. He said he's gone and all that type of stuff. Well, what's so different about Charlie Weiss? He got on the plane with him. You know he's gone. You know he's not staying. So why is it okay to have that fox in your hen house as opposed to the Kiffin fox in your hen house?
He's a young fox.
Yeah, but you don't have
you hadn't figured it all out yet, maybe.
You don't know how to cheese the good yet?
Once again, as the world turns in this is I don't know how you allow that when you first say no. Oh well, I'll let him go back. I just once again amazing.
Well, if you listen to the pundits again, they say this was signed before Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. left to go to LSU. That Kiffin would come back. That Weiss would come back and be the offensive coordinator to keep that flow going and keep their standing going of where they were. So
it may have very well been, but that sounds like a little bit of revisionist history there. There never had any indication of that.
So you're trying to tell me you want things to kind of continue as is to help. Oh, but you're gone.
No, they wanted it to look right. That's all they wanted. This was a Kiffin.
It's all
done
semantics.
This was done by Kiffin, done by Ole Miss. We'll look better, so the committee will keep us at 6 or 7, and we'll get a home game, and we can move on.
Well, that's the whole truth. They're trying to save their position here in the playoff, and not. 'Cause somebody's got to call plays. And if they didn't have Weiss, well, then honestly, their chances at the playoff were probably over from everything I've read. So,
well, we'll come back after the first break, and I'm gonna do it. We'll do newspaper headlines and let y'all pick the best Kiffin headline I got of the group. We'll do that after this. Chasing Foul Balls right here. Oh, let's talk Kiffin on Chasing Foul Balls. Welcome back, Chasing Foul Balls, Friday morning here in Southwest Mississippi. Again, congratulations to Coach Darian Dorsey and the Brookhaven Panthers. They upset West Point last night for the 5A state championship, 31-19. All right, guys. I was questioning should I do this or not, but why not? Newspaper headlines. Now, I got to say, I stole these from somebody else. I'm not quite as sharp.
You had a lot to pick from, I'm sure.
I'm surprised you narrowed it down to 4.
Yeah. Number one, I will give y'all the headlines. Y'all tell me which one you would pick for your newspaper headline for the day Kiffin left. Number one, keeping a Lane thing a Lane thing. No surprise, Lane leaves Oxford. Number two, Mississippi coach handled leaving poorly and immaturely. Mississippi coach leaves poorly and immaturely. Number three, Saban it ain't so. Did Nick Saban really help Lane Kiffin go to Louisiana? And number four, Lane.
Well, this is going to be a good one.
I couldn't decide if I was going to use this one, but I am. Number four, Lane in the ass. Ole Miss thought they had Kiffin, but in the long term, the coach said they didn't. Now, if you had those four, which would you use?
Well, my selection is by 4 by a long shot.
Hey, man, I was thinking the same thing. That's a slam dunk.
So we'll go with our Chasing Foul Balls newspaper headline. Lane in the ass. Ole Miss thought it had Kiffin, but the long-term coach said no. All right. I got it done.
That wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be.
If I had to laugh, it would have been funnier, but I just...
Was that supposed to take up more time? Because that went quick.
No, that was one of those you say, holy cow. I ran across these and I said, these are just too good not to use. That's for sure. All right, back to old Kiffin. Kiffin stayed for 6 years. Longer than you thought he would stay when he came to Ole Miss?
If we're being honest, yes. Really expected it to be over after 4. He honestly, in all this, he did give Ole Miss 6 good years. It's just the way that it ended that's so sour.
I guess yes, because I always thought whenever the Alabama job presented itself, that was a slam dunk. A lot of people still think that, but I guess they hadn't gotten away from him enough over there. He was still just getting started at Ole Miss, and the time didn't work out. So after that, then I said, things started rolling, as you said, Wes. Things started getting better. Let's face it, he jumped on the NIL way before anybody else and made a big plus. And that moved Ole Miss to another level as far as nationwide. And then it just kind of got rolling downhill. So, yes, to say that, to answer your question, Rob, yes, he stayed a lot longer than I thought he would. But once he got it going, I kept telling my mind, what is he parlaying this into? What's the next big step? Is it back to the pros, or is it another higher profile job? But right now, you could argue, what somebody say for the last month, Ole Miss has been mentioned in every sports center and every sports show across the country. You can't buy that kind of.
All publicity is good publicity.
That's all free. People just talking about you. So, yes, Robbie.
Let's lead into the next question. All this talk, locally, South, national, all, who was the cause of it? Was Ole Miss the cause of the talk? Was the media the cause of the talk? Or was Kiffin the cause of the talk?
That's a good question, Robbie. I think they all have to wear a little bit of the blame, somewhat. Kiffin probably takes the bulk of it. Because of his history, the spotlight was always on him. I mean, there was no other way this could have ended with Kiffin if you look at his history. I mean, you knew it was coming. You probably didn't expect it to come in the middle of a playoff run and be this ugly with so much on the line, but it was coming.
Yeah, Robbie, I agree. I think they all share some. I think Kiffin is obviously but the media fueled. If there was a little bit of a fire, the media fueled it. The media kept throwing there. They were the ones that were doing all the searching. Oh, well, this plane's going here. This plane's going there. They're talking to Florida. That fueled the fire. Ole Miss, but what part did they? Once the horses are out of the barn. If it's more than one, it's hard to get them all back in at the same time. And the horses were way out of the barn. But I think Kiffin takes the brunt of that, but the media's not too far behind.
Let's jump to the Southern Miss Huff situation. You got the inside there, little A. Huff staying at Southern Miss, or he going to Memphis, or he going to Tulane, or what's the story?
Right now, we think he's staying, is what all of us are reading through the lines. Think Tulane and Memphis were a real possibility. And look, let's be honest, guys. When we got Huff to Hattiesburg, we knew this is how it was going to end, too. We knew he was only a short-term rental. We were hoping we could get 2 years out of him. And, he turned things around, and we wish him the best. And so far as things are sitting right now, I do feel we're going to get that second year.
When you look around at the situation that's going on, is 6 or 7 the place that Ole Miss needs to end up in the college football poll, or playoffs, I should say?
I guess so, Robbie. It's hard to punish the team and discredit what they've done because of all this mess. So it wouldn't feel right to drop them. So I guess where they are is where they deserve to be. I guess is the best way I know to answer that.
Well, guys, the team is where they are up to this point. One of the big things, we don't know what it's going to be like without the situation, but we know where they are now. So I don't think they'd be any different with what's coming this weekend about who wins and loses, whether they would move up or down. 6 or 7, I think, is where they're going to fit. Because I think there's just too many good teams above them. Some of those have got to lose, but the ones that are right below them are the ones that are playing. So I don't know how you move them a point, a slot or two, yes. But
the committee said that they would not probably change anybody that didn't play in a championship game. So that means it would have to be somebody below them probably to move up.
And that'd be an upset.
And that would be BYU or Virginia winning or somebody like that.
Right.
When you look at that, though, it's going to be interesting tomorrow. Georgia or Alabama wins the Southeastern Conference?
I'm glad I'm not putting money on it. I always say it's hard to pick against Alabama no matter what's going on. So I'm going to stick to those guns. I like Alabama.
Georgia's going to beat them eventually. And, everybody thought in the regular season it was this year, and all of a sudden Alabama decided to say, hey, there's an A on the side of our helmet, and probably played maybe their best game of the year when everybody thought Georgia would win. Georgia's got to beat them eventually. I think Georgia might be the better team, but Alabama's got their number. Everybody says that, so it's going to be good, but I think Georgia will win.
Did y'all see where Edna Carr, the high school in Louisiana, New Orleans, had 15, count them, 15 signees off of their class, and 10 of those went Division I, and I'm not counting SWAC as even in the Division Ones. They had 2 or 3 SWAC signees, so if you counted SWAC in Division I, they had 13 off one team that signed college scholarships.
Impressive, but not surprised. There's a ton of talent down there, all stacked on top of each other. So,
I agree. I unfortunately went down a couple of years ago and watched Edna Carr play Franklinton in the state playoffs of Louisiana, and I think at that time there was 8 or 9 potential signees on the team, and it didn't take you long to figure out. These boys playing way above their level, but as you say, Wes, it's all right there. One of the reasons, shifting gears, that Frank Wilson has always been a hired gun about where he's at. He will always have a job. It might not be at the same school because of his ability to recruit the New Orleans and South Louisiana area.
Whew. We covered a lot of area in the first 30 minutes. Stephen Willis with Locked On Ole Miss comes up next. The Chasing Foul Balls and music reviews. We got 2 today. Here's number 1.
Down the bayou where the gators grin, Lane packed his bags with a sly little spin. He let the rebels for the tiger go, trading red for purple, bold and bold. Swamp bears thick, hearts are thin, Lane's on the move again. Lane's gone, he's LSU bound, he's stirring the pot in that smoky town. Ole Miss cried, but the bayou grinned. Lane Kiffin's dance with the devil began. Toddy echoed through the trees, but the Cajun call brought him to his knees. He heard the Zayde go, spell the roof, said goodbye, y'all, there's gumbo to brew. Crawfish boil and a hurricane spin. Coach Kiffin's here, let the chaos begin. A tiger's roar, a rebel sigh. Ole Miss weeps while the swamp runs high. He's gone, he's LSU bound. He's stirring the pot in that smally town. Ole Miss cried, but the bayou grinned. Lane Kiffin's dance with the devil began. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lane's gone, he's LSU bound. He's stirring the pot in that small town. Ole Miss cried, but the bayou grinned. Lane Kiffin's dance with the devil began.
Sports. And now sports.
You're listening to Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5 and streaming everywhere on the SuperTalk Mississippi app. Chasing Foul Balls is presented by First Bank and brought to you by East Macomb Body Shop and Guy's Pharmacy. Now back to Chasing Foul Balls on SuperTalk Pike County 93.5.
Well, good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome to Chasing Foul Balls. Back with you on this morning after a week off. was here last week for Thanksgiving, so we're glad everybody had a good Thanksgiving. And now, heading for Christmas. Hard to believe we're saying that, isn't it?
Christmas time.
Christmas time. Get ready. Join us on the phone from the Locked On Ole Miss in Oxford, Stephen Willis. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing quite well, gentlemen.
Good, good. Been a kind of a busy time the last 3 or 4 weeks in the Oxford area, hadn't it?
Yeah, something going on. I mean, it's weird. People are just busy being around all around the place.
First question. How's the joy meter right now at Oxford after all this going on?
You know, it's funny because you do have to give some credit about essentially Ole Miss is averaging about 10 wins per season for the last 5 years or something like that. So there is that. You have to couch all of this with that. There is a disappointment that they're worried about the wins in the future, but Ole Miss fans are excited that they can essentially cheer about the playoff berth. They could have the joy that they were planning on having anyway. And a lot of that has to do with Pete Golding and the circus being taken out of town, for lack of a better word. For the last 4 weeks, there's been no talk about Trinidad Chambliss, no talk about Kejuan Lacey, no talk about the rise of the Rebel defense. It's all been, will he or won't he go anywhere? And Ole Miss fans got sick of it. By the Egg Bowl, they were ready for change, whether they knew or not, because they were just exhausted by all this.
Let me see how we'll put this one. In the end, did Keith Carter out Kiffin?
I think Keith Carter's been an absolute gangster through all of this process. I think that Lane Kiffin wanted to do what Tommy Tuberville did and put it on steroids. That was kind of the plan of what was going on. In my head, since I went through the Tommy Tuberville thing, obviously I was thinking, it's like, what's going on? I could tell he was going to try and coach the playoff game, and then 4 days before the playoff game, it was going to be all about LSU. And they were going to turn that playoff game into a 4-hour infomercial for LSU. And Keith Carter kind of got wind of that, and that's when the, quote, message to Lane is like, you're not going to coach the playoffs if you're the coach of another team. And Lane knew that before the Florida game, his representation and everybody, it wasn't 8:30 on Sunday morning like was claimed. But Keith Carter seeing that and making plans, Ole Miss started to do preliminary coaching search things like 8 weeks ago. Whenever Billy Napier got fired from Florida, Ole Miss started working on this because they knew that this was was a possibility. And Keith Carter, just throughout this whole process, has been A+. He's been amazing, man.
Stephen, this is Wes Nunnery here. Thanks for joining us. Two questions. One, what in your mind went into the decision to land on Pete Golding as the head man as opposed to Joe Judge when all indications were pointing towards Joe Judge? And the second part of the question is, has anybody through all this done a wellness check on Juice?
Yeah, believe it or not, the Juice thing, there's lots of wellness tests going on Juice right now. Everybody's trying to locate it. I think he's at Wild Rose Kennels up in Oxford right now, as far as I know. But yes, everybody is very concerned about Juice. As far as the Pete Golding, Joe Judge thing, I heard the same stuff. Everybody was talking about Joe Judge. There was the rumor out there that Pete didn't want to be an interim coach, which might be the case, that he didn't want to be an interim coach, and that's the reason he was named the permanent coach. But what Keith Carter saw is Pete Golding did a lot of the work day-to-day in that office anyway. He put together the recruiting apparatus, the player personnel department, and all of this extra work and the love of the team and the ability to galvanize it kind of pushed it that way if Pete would take the job. And when it became known that Pete would take that job, I think it became a home run.
Stephen, this is Richard Hay, and you touched on it in our opening a little bit, but I just want you to dive a little deeper into it. for the last 4 or 5 weeks, the focus has been on Willie or Woney or whatever. In a time when Ole Miss is having a great season, first 11-win regular season, the players, to me, are the ones that are the heroes in this. They obviously kept their nose to the grindstone. They're good. I think they got a really good chance, especially if they can get a first-round playoff at home, which is a tremendous opportunity. But just talk about the players as a whole, the leadership from within. Of course, Trinidad Chambliss, to me, if this wasn't going on, he might be getting some comments for the Heisman Trophy.
You know, he should be getting comments for the Heisman Trophy. He has over 3,000 yards passing and only started 10 games this season. He's only 400 yards behind the leading passer in the Southeastern Conference, despite only playing 10 games. He would have absolutely been on the stage in New York if he got the pub in the November timeframe that he deserved. It wasn't just talking about what will happen with Lane Kiffin. Kewan Lacey is a Doak Walker Award finalist, the first in the history of Ole Miss. And nobody really knows that fact. Because all of this, the players are the most, ignored people in this whole scenario. Because these players deserve the recognition that they're about to get for the next couple of weeks going into the playoffs. Kewan Lacey is going to have essentially an emergence party. And the rest of the nation is going to go, man, I didn't know he was that good. And then they're going to do some research and see that he was a Doak Walker finalist. And it's like, how did I not know that? Well, it's because you were worried where Lane Kiffin was going to coach football in 2026.
Stephen, it's Wes again. Believe it or not, in the middle of all this, we had signing day. I know that quite obviously was the furthest thing from anybody's mind. So while all this was going on, talk about what Ole Miss did in recruiting. With all this overshadowing, I think most folks don't know if they signed anybody or who they signed. So what was Ole Miss able to accomplish in recruiting?
Pete Golding deserves a medal for what he's doing in the signing day. He honestly does. 72 hours, and I think there were 6 decommitments total out of the whole class, and only 2 4-star decommitments. You get Landon Barnes out of Duncanville, Texas, one of the SAC men coming over. There's rumors out there about 4-stars that could be yet to sign in this class. And players like Reese Wise, you don't know who your offensive coordinator is going to be. They came in as well. Both of the running backs, the one number 7 player in Mississippi, Demarius Yates, signed. It was a very good class, and that kind of shows, honestly, in my opinion, the role that Pete Golding played in the recruiting of everybody, not just the defensive side of the ball, previous to this, because there just wasn't so much attrition. I'm going to be curious. They can sign through today. And I want to see exactly what the final look of this class is, because it has a chance to be fairly impressive. There's an interior offensive lineman, a 3-star out of New Orleans that was an LSU commit, flipped to LSU about 15 minutes. Flipped to Ole Miss about 15 minutes ago. So I'm curious to see what it looks like when it's all said and done.
Charlie White's coming back to be the offensive coordinator for the college football playoff game. Are they going to lock him out there with juice to keep him in Oxford?
I think they're going to try. They're going to look for the future offensive coordinator, as they should. They shouldn't just be locked in on Charlie Weiss Jr. But Charlie Weiss Jr., for the playoffs, that's a home run return. Okay, getting that. You saw the committee didn't punish Ole Miss at all. They kept their offensive coordinator. They had their defensive coordinator. I've heard from boosters in Oxford that they don't think that Charlie Weiss Jr. is going to leave. I'm not 100% sure on that, because it's still kind of early and it's hard to get a read on, especially with the playoffs and all of that. But I think they're going to try to keep him in Oxford.
Any talk about Trinidad Chambliss' extra year that he was on petition for, and if he does get it, is it good feelings that he will stay at Oxford?
Yeah. think so. This is the thing about Trinidad Chambliss, and everybody, since all of the eligibility stuff went over and Diego Pavia had to go to court to get the extra year of eligibility, what Trinidad Chambliss is applying for, his waiver, is just for a 6-year medical red shirt. That's the same stuff that we've done for 50 years. And it was mentioned that that was owed by the Fair State people in the Fair State National Championship thing, but even before he transferred, that was going to get applied for. And it was mentioned by Ole Miss, or the ESPN, maybe it was either Florida or maybe it was Mississippi State. They talked about that as well. So Trinidad Chambliss thinks it's coming in a week or two. We'll see exactly what it looks like. If that happens, about a week or two would be right in that playoff realm, which would be another great day potentially for Ole Miss. But he's a really good player. I do know that him and Lane have a relationship, so that would be interesting. But we'll see how it ends up. I think he stays in Oxford, all the Trinidad flags and all that. I don't see anybody leaving that. You could talk me into Austin Simmons before that.
Stephen, this is Richard Hay once again. Talking about the players, and I keep going back to that because I think they're the ones, as we talked about, have been kind of left out of this whole run that Ole Miss has had. Do you think going forward, knowing they're in a playoff, probably going to be in a playoff slot, whether it's a home game or away, we don't know that yet, do you think that players are relieved that this is all over with? It's out in the open. Do you think it gives them more fire? Do you think it, by gosh, we'll show you how good a team we had? Or do you think it maybe, I heard about some players were happy, some were not, the leadership and all that kind of, how have they galvanized themselves, or if they have, going forward to make a great playoff run?
Oh, they've absolutely. They all love Pete. Whenever Pete got announced, there was a raucous ovation of him being announced for the job. And a lot of ways, I'm not saying he's Marcus Freeman, I'm not saying that, but in a lot of ways it's very similar. LSU comes in and overpays for a coach. The school that's there realizes, hey, let's just promote the defensive coordinator. They invested in the NIL. There's some parallels to that move, and the players absolutely love this move. I think it will be interesting to see how they do it and what's going on. But as far as galvanizing the team, they're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go. And people I talked to before the Egg Bowl wanted to change to an interim coach right then. That's how much the locker room was getting lost, and credit to them for staying focused and having their eyes on the prize throughout the last 4 weeks or so.
Stephen, I know he's obviously got a lot on his plate right now and might be the first thing from his mind, but have there been any murmurs or rumors or anything regarding Pete's plans to backfill his staff?
I think Keith Carter said there was announcements that could come as early as today, as far as staff-wise. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. Listen, he's got a lot of stuff on his plate. You've got the biggest sporting event in the history of Mississippi that's going to be on your campus in 2 weeks. Because no matter what happens in the college football playoff ranking, Ole Miss is likely going to be either 5th, 6th, or 7th, which means they're going to host. So Keith has all that going on, has the staff going on. You need about 6 Keith Carters right now, I guess is my point.
Final 2 questions, Stephen. First of all, what kind of atmosphere will it be at Oxford for that college football playoff game?
Oh, my goodness. It will be what was against Florida a couple of weeks ago on steroids. This is a coronation game. This is what Ole Miss was promised by, I guess, Johnny Ball whenever all that was happening. Ole Miss finally turned that final corner to get to that point. And the fan base can just kind of excel and be extremely rowdy. I'm interested to see what it looks like. I kind of am hoping it's not like Tulane or JMU or North Texas. Maybe it's Virginia. Maybe it's at night. If that happens, I think it's going to be a special atmosphere.
What will be bigger, the college football playoff or Kiffin's return with LSU?
Yeah. Well, that's two different things, okay?
All right. Give me more.
They're both going to be massive, but the college football playoff is going to be bigger. But listen, in 2026, Halloween is on a Saturday, and if the SEC doesn't get this right, that's on them. A Halloween night in Oxford, Mississippi, with Lane Kiffin coming back to town coaching LSU, that would be a bananas atmosphere.
You don't get much bigger than that, do you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, where can everybody see your work, Stephen?
All right, check me out on YouTube, Locked On Ole Miss. I'm there, and wherever you listen to your podcast, you can check me out on social media as well. We like to have a good time. Should be a lot of fun, and thank you guys so much for having me, man.
Last question. What is the date that you should put out the Christmas decorations?
Day after Thanksgiving, period. If anything Christmas happens before Thanksgiving Day, you're a war criminal.
Well, that's a pretty fast statement right there. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate you taking the time to be with us on this Friday morning.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Talk to you later. Stephen Willis with Locked On Ole Miss. You can get it on YouTube. That's where I keep watching him, and all of the other spots. What about y'all? What's the date to put out the Christmas decorations? What's the earliest you should put out the Christmas decorations?
Well, you definitely can't do it before Thanksgiving unless you're the big box stores. I think they've had it out since about Halloween, but that doesn't count.
Oh, yeah, they start about middle of October or after Labor Day, sometimes after Labor Day. And I say this because of where we're sitting. I remember walking into the Workforce Center here several weeks ago, and they were already putting up Christmas decorations. But they're timed when they need to do it. So, but if you ask me, Robbie, we never even thought about my wife's been unpacked for a few weeks. We just got it up. My mother did not start until the weekend after Thanksgiving. And she wasn't going to do it any sooner. And we didn't really play or sing Christmas music until then. And because we wanted to celebrate Thanksgiving. I think it's one of the lost times of the year holiday because everybody's so focused on Christmas time about the middle of October, which is unfortunate.
I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know me.
Go ahead.
You don't wear your dress overalls till after Thanksgiving?
Oh, no, I wear my overalls pretty much, I won't say all the time, but.
Not your overall, your dress overalls. Don't you got on this morning?
The ones that you put a crease in the leg.
Yeah, look at them bit of iron.
Well, as much as you wash them, the crease doesn't stay very long.
All right, just checking. One thing we didn't get to early, yesterday in the NFL last night, Lions beat the Cowboys. Final score of that one was 40-30. Big Daddy next, right here. Go chasing foul balls. Good morning, I reckon it is good evening. What's wrong with you, Robbie? Glad to have you back chasing foul balls on this Friday. Joining us on the phone, Big Daddy. How are you?
Doing great, Robbie. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. You got your Kiffin bull meter out?
Oh, yeah. It's been a rat race, hasn't it? I
tell you what, you can't turn a different way without running into another story, that's for sure.
Well, he's a media hog, or I've heard he called a media whore. So
is that kind of like the housewife song? Which, by the way,
yeah,
we will have for you at the end of this segment here.
I've heard you can't turn one into a housewife.
Well, we'll find out what the song says.
Yeah, that's something. I think the big question that nobody's discussing, and it may be too early to bring this up, but it popped in my mind immediately. How many players does Kiffin take from Ole Miss to LSU? We saw it with Charles Tuff and USM, where he took, the big majority of the players from Marshall to Southern Miss. Is that going to be the new trend now with NIL?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will come down to who's willing to spend more money to keep their players. Will Ole Miss up the ante in theirs, or will LSU offer a bunch more money than Ole Miss could to get the players they want. I think it comes down to money.
Rich get richer and the poor have babies.
That's right. Every day of the week. That's the way it works out. What about Huff? We talked to Little Daddy earlier about it. Does Huff seem to be a pretty good stick to Hattiesburg?
I feel we got him for until we hit a home run or some kind, win the conference or get maybe we talked a little bit more about making the playoffs, the national playoffs. We know he's got bigger aspirations, and we can't pay him what some of these other ESPN funded teams can. But we're just going to take the best we get out of it and enjoy it.
Did you see the Elena Johnson post that she had the best fall of all the Texas Tech players, and that's saying something with all the players that they brought into Texas Tech. Looks like Elena may get the situation that she's been looking for.
Yeah, she's really, I guess to say, abundant, tongue-in-cheek, she's hit her own run.
Big Daddy, this is Richard. Talk a little bit about, and I hate to relive things that probably don't want to talk, but I'm curious about, is it you had an injury or two along the way towards the end of the season? Is it just the fact that you've got good players up front, but we didn't have enough to fill in behind them to keep the roll going with Southern Miss? Is that it, or was there something else that we don't know about?
Well, I think you're right. As injuries started to accumulate, it kind of showed your depth a little bit. But I think the key thing was Braxton getting hurt in that game, hurting his knee, and he wanted to play. And Huff is not real big on giving him any details at all. And I think they tried to baby it along to see if he'd get better, and he'd get better. And Richard, he didn't have any mobility left. I mean, his lateral mobility was gone, and that took away a big part of his game, which took away a lot of our offense. So I think all those things rolled together with offensive line being a little bit banged up, and by the end of the season, everybody's hurt a little bit, so it just kind of snowballed.
Is Little Daddy coming over to help you put the Christmas decorations out tonight?
Yeah, he'll be over, but I don't know if he'll be putting up any Christmas.
Will he be will he be looking for the Christmas cheer? Is that what you're telling me?
I hope he's got a little in a bottle for us somewhere down the road.
Reese, thanks for stopping by with us this morning. We appreciate it. We got something special we got to end with. We need to get it started.
All right. See you later.
Guys, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks to Stephen Willis for being with us. We'll be back next Friday morning right here on Chasing Foul Balls.
You can't turn a hoe into a housewife. That's the truth we learned from Lane tonight. You can't make Kiffin stay in Oxford when he's already booking his next flight. We gave him hope. We gave him time. We were ready for that playoff climb. But you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. And Lane ain't ever staying full time. Kiffin left Tennessee at midnight. Didn't even dodge the blame. Got fired out at Southern Cal, but he still walked like he ran the game. Thought maybe Oxford softened him, thought he'd settle down at last. But when LSU came calling, Lane was gone in 60 seconds flat. 'Cause you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, and you can't make Kiffin loyal today. You can't tie Lane down with promises if he's always looking for a higher payday. We were standing on the doorstep of a playoff that felt divine. But you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, and Lane ain't ever staying full time. Maybe we were dreaming big, thinking Kiffin found a home, thinking hotty-toddy love would keep Lane from wanting to roam. But he's built for quick goodbyes, drop a smile and then he's gone. Guess the signs were always there when LSU said, come on. 'Cause you can't you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, and Lane ain't ever staying full time.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.